Hi guys, hi YouTubers, hi fellas.
Hi everyone, so in this video I would like to discuss all of the organisations, the advantages, the reason behind the companies are split. So just to give a bit of a background, Lawson Networks IT Services was formed in 2018, which is the first company, and that was started up. We have now got over 6 years experience with 7.1 million customers with activated licenses, and we have products sold in more than 120 countries around the world. We have more than 1,300 employees across 25 cities, and we do have the technical support team in India. And on top of that, we have a 16.9% year-on-year growth over the last 3 years. And the reason we have that is because not only do we have excellent products under our portfolios and services that we offer, but we also have excellent staff that can actually give excellent support. That we don't just treat a customer as a number. We actually like to get to know them, to be able to build every report so that we can understand the background, what solutions they're looking for. So, for example, we could add a solution and go, actually, Bill would be very good for this solution. So we could contemplate, hey, Bill, so we know you're looking at, these solutions and it's got this, and this advantage. But actually, we just looking at this solution and we think actually it'll be perfect for your environment. If you'd like further information or a demo, you're more than welcome to contact us and we can get that facilitated for you. So there's many advantages to having companies that are interlocked and working together. So I have Lawson Networks IT Services, Cyber Services, which is main company for consumers. Lawson Networks IT Services is for SMBs, up to 2,500, but it can also do enterprise depending on what solutions are required. Absolutely Cyber Services 24/7 monitoring service, as I say, with over with over 1,300 employees. Now, the majority of the employees are in that sector because obviously we need a lot of expertise that are constantly being trained and tested, so we're looking out for the latest threats. And one of the products that we have under our portfolio that we do like to work with, when WannaCry was out in 2017, the solution actually stopped it in advance as long as one of the features was turned on. And the reason that the majority of the NHS hospitals actually got affected was because this feature wasn't turned on. And it was noted that when it was turned on, that WannaCry actually didn't affect any of the systems on the network, and nor did it spread any from the domain, because when it was originally set up, it was actually looking for a domain. So when it was registered, then actually it would just cancel itself out. And this has only recently come to light in the last couple of months, even though it was already years ago. And it just shows you how advanced threats and ransomware can be. And I know in the previous video when I was talking about some of the services and some of the securities that we offer, that actually you can't compromise on security. And when a data breach or an attack does happen, then you realise it's too late. Like, oh God, we need to do something now. And by then, the majority of the companies would actually pay for the ransomware or the Bitcoin or whatever just to get the data back. But sometimes the data won't even fully be recovered, so the paying for something isn't even guaranteed to get back. Which you can understand why you do it, but at the same time, it is a bit risky. And this is why we always say have latest security. Not only have one layer of security, have multi-layered security so it talks to each other, interlocks. Like for example, Sophos with the central console, you have all their flagship products under one portfolio. So you can manage everything from one central location. So it saved you from going from location to A to location B. It's saving time, it's saving money. And the reason why we are offering this service as ourselves and our own solution is because we've been tested, we get yearly tested, we get random tested, we get audited. And each year, our organisation has won an award for the services that we provide and for the solutions that we provide. And the reason we strive on that is because of customers like yourselves that are constantly not only supporting us, but giving absolute fantastic feedback. And it's amazing knowing that year on year we have grown, or because we've got trusted customers behind us that know that we offer the best solutions at the right price. And going back to when I was saying about when a network could be attacked or when something does happen and then it's too late, this is where you go to your boss or to measure, well, actually, we need to invest in the solution, but yeah, it's pricey, but we've done a test with the company and they've just done a breach test on the network and actually would get broken in and get data. So yeah, sometimes solution can be pricey, and I always outweigh this to the partners and to the customers, but you can't compromise on that because when something goes wrong, it goes really wrong. And this is why I always say that IT is either your best friend or your worst nightmare. And the thing is, when the businesses were split last year into the different segments, we did that in a way that it would offer better products in sectors like the educational sector, healthcare, hotels, hospitality. But also, it's also building a stronger relationship with the distributor, showing them that yes, we're keen to build a solution. Yes, our customers are happy. Let's start selling more of the products. We can clearly see it works. We've had demos, we've had customers, we've had webinars. And the other week, I was back to back in webinars because we are constantly changing the partners that we work with because we are wanting to offer the best service at the best price. And I do understand that sometimes, as was explained, it can be pricey, but three, six, £9 a license does sound pricey, but your data's gone. You can never put a price on data, ever. And our systems that we have are always monitored, are always backed up. We have 3 backup locations, one in India, one in Singapore, and one in America. So either way, we are covered. And we also have an off-site backup location for our customers that will go to Denmark. And the reason we do that is because we want to offer them scalability, reliability, and to show them that yes, solutions can cost a bit more money, but you're actually paying for the product as well as the support because sometimes things can go wrong. And it's nice knowing that you have that level of support there. Just like I offer certain levels of support before I'd go to a manager to say, look, customer Jason has had this issue. I've done collected the logs, I've done these steps, but it's still happening. I've replicated it in my demo lab, which I do tend to do just to, verify that it's a genuine issue, or it could be a bug in the system. But this is why warranties are worth it because as soon as something goes wrong, it's nice knowing that we're a phone call away, or the company themselves are a phone call away. You see, when we build relationships with companies, either we offer certain levels of support or you can go directly to the company. And I think when you have an MSP company that you work with, such as ourselves, where we offer our own network protection and monitoring service, at the start you're very dubious that it's not going to work because you're outlaying so much money. But actually, when you start getting the reports that actually what your network's trying to be attacked, then you realise that the service is there to give you peace of mind. And the other week, my company actually nearly come under attack. My company websites were getting attacked from Moscow. We had 1,000 hits in just under 2 minutes, and our systems detected that. Luckily, they blocked it. And it never happened again, but it just seemed a bit, suspicious for everything that's going on. But the point's the same. You cannot compromise on security. Security is everything. As soon as one part, you can have 3 parts of security, but as soon as one part goes, they've got through the door, they've got through another door, they've got through another door. Sometimes you don't even need to give them the key. It's literally just, right, there you go. You walk in. And this is why we say that you can have your traditional antivirus systems and your web filters and whatever polish I've set, but then have a monitoring service like ours, or a custom monitoring service like a company from IronNet, or we simulate where it tests your network with the latest ransomware set, which can be minutes old. And we do win awards for the services that we offer, and it's nice that we win. And it shows that we are best in class and that we know what we're doing. But the reason why we succeed is because we are trusted by our customers, we are trusted by our partners and distributors, but above everything, what stands out for us is the fact that we see so many trends. We see how networks can be attacked. We can look at the footprint actually. Oh, look on this computer, it's actually gone to the registry first. It went from the downloads folder with C user JSON, for example, but actually no. Well, it's gone to the C drive, it's then gone to its downloads, and actually, look, for example, it's trying to encrypt WannaCry. And when we first started offering services where it was working from home, and obviously the government were expressing that. I know I was saying in the previous video that we had a backlog, but it shows how technology can shift so much. And this is why you partly need security in place and have steps in place that will keep the companies safe, the employees safe, and the staff safe. Like, for example, I have a policy where I will only ever access company systems on site, because if I was working remotely and the system got attacked via the remote connection, which it is possible, then I would be liable for not putting enough security systems in place to prevent that. And this is why we do it that way, where we don't actually have remote access to certain systems. We require on-site only. And people may say that is a bit too strong, but if something happened, then it would be on our neck, and you as a customer are trusting us with your data, with your services, with your networks. So we can sometimes have strong policies, but it's for a good reason. And as soon as something happens, you will realise why, and why we have the procedures, and why we work with the vendors like E92, which is a purely cyber focused company. We worked with them since 2018, and recently we've teamed up mid last year with Absolute Cyber Services, so we've got 2 accounts with them. And them as a company have shifted from offering a range of services to now purely focusing on the cybersecurity. And the partners that they work with are vendors like us. But what I love is the fact that they build a report as such where when they add new products, they could come and say, right, Tom, we need you to test this product out. Could you please do it? And when I do that, or when I attend these events where they want me to do like demos, it's giving me an insight to new systems and the way things can be changing. And it gives me insight to like, well, actually, my company could do this a bit differently. And then it all boils down, it does all boil down to, in the end, humans and human error. Because we all make mistakes, we're not perfect. And it's like when you have the scam calls, you can have that 1 second lapse of judgment, and you could have your entire bank drained, or because of a few seconds lapse. And when it comes to mistakes like that, you only tend to realise after it's actually happened. But the thing with our systems and that we have in place in our securities, we have preventative measures like anti-ransomware, anti-theft, anti-protection, anti-monitoring in place. So if an attack's coming from, say, Spain, and it's had more than 10 attacks a minute, then our team will start looking into that and look at if it's server or if it's a person. And we will actually go through it like a fine tooth comb, where we will literally locate who it is, and then if required, we will take the preventive measures to stop that. And there's a lot of speculation out there. I know in the consumer side that antiviruses are recommended, especially with Windows 10 and 11, where Windows Defender is good. Okay, it's good, but can't compromise on security. Security is everything, because The reason we set up actually cyber services, monitoring services, because we wanted to build a platform that is ours, but we wanted to show customers that yes, we can do this, and yes, we have the facilities, we have the team behind us, we have the vendors, and it all fits into place. Honestly, this has been the best decision that has been made in the organization since we first set up originally. And I must admit that the new vendors that we've onboarded, and I know one we've already onboarded, I'm dead excited to work with IronNet. They was actually set up with the CEO. He used to work at the White House. He was a cybersecurity expert, and all the staff there are ex NASA or ex government employees. Um, Sorry if I say anything, I have to kill you. But when I've had demos with them, when I've onboarded customers, I never explained the solution like it's either a virtual machine or it's a node. And all the traffic goes through that node, which is similar to ours. But the difference between ours and theirs is ours gives more in-depth reporting and more management capabilities, whereas theirs, when an attack happens, you report it anonymously in their database, and anyone in the Iron Dome can see, oh look, there's been this attack. We've actually had this attack. Now this customer's done this. Maybe we should try it, see if it works. But it doesn't tell them who they are or what sector they're from, because we want to protect the customers and the users. And this is why with our service, yes, it's anonymous, but the whole reason that we want to manage and maintain it for you is to give you peace of mind so you can manage your own network, your own customers, your own systems. So whilst we're dealing with it in the background for you, giving you peace of mind, we can send you weekly, bi-weekly, fortnightly or monthly reports saying, you've had this report, this has been done, this has been done, this has been stopped. Or if something happens, like a data breach, we stop it in its tracks with the systems that we have. We would send a report saying, look, we've done this to stop it, but we recommend, for example, that you do this, this, and this, and it will stop that type of attack in the future. But always remember that once you've been looked at once, you could potentially go on that suckers list where other scams or viruses or network attacks could put you kind of at risk. But it doesn't matter what sector you're in or what business you're in, each attack will be different. But the moral of the story is still the same. Sometimes it will be to show off, to say, oh, look, I've made this statement. And other times it will be for greed and money. And there was a lot of speculation with WannaCry that, yes, there's been so much of an attack and how it spread and what happened, but actually, no one's been found, and the money wasn't the game. You see, I always think about the services that we offer and how we can improve them. Because as a customer, I think, what would I want from a business to protect me? And then you have a checklist: antivirus, network protection, XDR, NDR, machine learning, AI. But then it's in more detail, like the servers, the operating systems, the programs, are the servers updated to the latest patch? Are the programs updated? Are the programs are outdated? See, that's going to be a massive job, like a big institution like the NHS, to make sure that everything is up to date. But it makes them an easier target. But because, for example, the NHS is so big, it's going to cost millions and billions of pounds to upgrade the servers and the infrastructure. And I can understand if it's not fixed. If it's not broken, you don't need to. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I know that's an old fashioned saying, but sometimes they're right, but when attacks happen like that, look how it monetarily affected the NHS, then it makes you realise, oh, we actually do need other layers of protection. So you could have an XG firewall or an next generation firewall, but that's only as good as its patches or as its updates or its configurator. But the advantages of having one of them is the fact that you control the policies, whether you can allow traffic in, out, into a certain area, out to a certain area, you can configure it based on Wi-Fi, management. Really, the network is your fingertips. You have literally the world at your fingertips. So you can configure it as little or as much as you want. And this is why we offer not only our monitors, but our configuration services where we will kit your school out or your network. We will get everything in place from chairs, pens, pencils, rubbers to trunking for networking equipment, for servers, racks, switches, for everything. But everybody knows in IT that the configuration is only as good as the person that set it up. And this is the reason why our teams will set it up and we'll explain it. We'll give you an account, but if anything goes wrong, we would have a higher account so that we can maybe undo or override or make higher changes. Because there was at a customer site once where they had two firewalls. Don't know why, they just did. And for some reason, they could download executables, which was a no-no. And it basically turned out that the other firewall, which was a completely separate server network, not even touching this server, for example, it was one of a mystery. But we basically made sure that it was completely separate, not joined, not linked in any way. And this is why when we look at a network, we need to understand it. We need to be at the forefront of that configuration to make sure that what changes are done, to make sure that everything is being tested, to make sure that everything is working. Because we will not leave a customer site until something is fixed, regardless of time. It's not about money in the end of the day. It's about principle and it's about the service that you offer to your customers. If you offer poor service, no. Good service, fair price, excellent management, fantastic, down to earth. And that is why we have so many happy customers around the world and so many partners and distributors that we work with. Because we have built up such a strong relationship and a strong bond that it's not just what do you need, oh there you go, you owe me money. We actually get to know each customer so we can build reports, so we can offer them other services and solutions that we think would actually be perfect. You may think actually that solution is not perfect for them. But when you look into it a bit more, you could think, well, actually, they've got this as a network protection, but actually, this XDR, NDR will actually sit behind that and it'll be perfect. You see, you could have a bit of this and a bit of that and mix packages together. And that's what the majority of companies have this day and age. And it's a bit of a mix and match. And yes, you do have to have a lot of training and a lot of knowledge. But going back to what I was saying about network configuration, we want to make it now moving forward, rather than having a bit of this and a bit of that. We want to make it simultaneous across the board with either one platform or one vendor. And this is why moving forward is going to be one product, one solution, one need. So it's offering better service to you as the end user, it's offering better service to customer, to the partner, to distributor, and it's also making sure that in the end of the day, everything is being configured. The client is happy, the client is protected, the client is happy with their service, with the product. And this is why we are renowned and have won awards for what we offer, because we will not settle for second best. We will make sure that we come first each and every time in all the categories, because we understand that behind every network there is a heartbeat. And as soon as that heartbeat gets ill or it gets failed, then there's a problem. And this is where our teams will come in and understand your network and will fix it and will recommend maybe changes that need to be done or how to future proof it or move your business to the cloud. I know that before COVID hit, a lot of businesses were moving to the cloud, looking like VMware and IBM. And then when COVID hit, it kind of put a bit of a backstep. But some of the companies that actually wanted to future-proof and go to the cloud, as well as making it in such a way that the clients or the customers can work remotely. And I must admit, the companies that we did that for have said that the services, the customer support, and the business has gone from strength to strength. And it's nice to know that, and it's nice to hear back from them, because they was very unsure at the start. Sometimes you've got to have a little bit of faith in your partner, but I can understand at the same time that you're dubious, because you're dealing with a lot of data and customers, even though it's our bread and butter. And on top of that, you're looking at understanding that somebody's network, somebody's data, if something goes wrong, it's on your neck, which is rightful. But at the same time, you've got to understand that yes, mistakes do happen to a human, but companies like ours and our partners and distributors that we work with, this is our game, this is our bread and butter. We will protect you from the smallest customer to the biggest customer. Any request is no big or too small. This is why we have educational products, corporate products, business products, servers, hardware, laptops, desktops, you name it, we have it. And if we don't have it, we will try our absolute best to facilitate that for you. Please come to us, we'll be more than happy. At the end of this video, I am going to add in a couple of webinars for some of the new solutions that we have onboarded and partners. And I look forward to any feedback that you have. And I look forward to more business with you in the future. And thank you for watching these webinars, keeping up to date with everything that we're offering, as well as the services moving forward. On top of that, we are still in the process of removing partners and changing some of the partners around. But please note that will not affect any of your services. But when your licenses may come up for renewal, we will make sure that we will transition you over to a new partner in such a way that nothing will cause downtime or affect you in any way. It will be a streamlined process for you, and it will just be like magic. You will not even notice the difference. And included in that, we will give you remote support, we will train you, we will give you enough credits. And when you run out of them, you can choose to top up for more. But we always like to make sure with a new product that we all offer 2 or 3 complimentary sessions, so you understand. And then after that, depending on the request or the need, and we may even have some team locally that could go to your site, but that does depend where you are. But 99 times out of 100, we would recommend a remote session, because yes, it's easier, yes, it is more secure, and it shows that the issue can be resolved a lot quicker, rather than wait to say to drive down 3 or 4 hours, because in that 3 or 4 hours, feel what could have happened. Well, thank you for watching this demo and webinar. This was information on ACS webinar 03, and this was with regard to products, some partners that were added, and changes, as well as talking about cybersecurity trends and threats, and moving forward some of the plans and why businesses would look at our services and see them over competitors, because we offer longevity and future-proofing businesses. If you need any further information, you're more than welcome to contact us on the below link. This video will be uploaded to YouTube very shortly. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to doing this with you in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alert overload. A lack of senior analysts. Talent turnover. You're overwhelmed. But you don't have to be. What if you could automate some investigation steps so you can spend your time more strategically? You can with Iron Defense. Integrated within our Iron Defense NDR solution is an expert system that applies SOC playbooks pre-built by elite analysts so that you can detect new threats, accelerate response by risk, make quick decisions, and achieve consistent outcomes. Triage better, respond faster, Iron Defense's expert system combines the best of AI and the best of human insights to automatically evaluate suspicious activities that signature tools often miss. So how does it work? The expert system draws on IronNet's behavioral analytics for lateral movement, beaconing, and suspicious file downloads, and more. It then gives you severity scoring to better understand the risk level of individual alerts, data enrichments and other contextual information such as threat intelligence, with visibility in your SIM dashboard. The expert system applies the expertise of IronNet data scientists and analysts, with years of experience dealing with sophisticated nation-state adversaries. Think of Iron Defense's expert system as a way to add elite SOC analysts to your overburdened team, to drive fast response, realize better outcomes, and expand your SOC's overall effectiveness. Save time, reduce effort, find and stop the threats. Your SOC multiplied. Discover more at ironnet.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar on the 7 uncomfortable truths of endpoint security. I'm Sally Adam, Marketing Director at Sophos, and I'm excited to share with you the results of a Sophos Commission survey of 3,100 IT managers across the globe. You're going to learn about the experiences, concerns, and future plans of organizations in 12 countries across 6 continents when it comes to endpoint security. And the survey also provides some deep insight into the day-to-day challenges IT teams face in securing their organizations, and also their experiences with endpoint detection and response, or EDR technology. So with no further ado, let's jump in. And I want to start off by sharing with you who we surveyed. So in terms of the countries, there was 12 countries, and we had 500 respondents from the US, 300 from the UK, France, Germany, and India, and 200 each from Canada, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Australia, Japan, and South Africa. The respondents were all people within organizations of 100 to 5,000 users. To get a representative responses, we split it equally, with half the respondents in 100 to 1,000 user organizations and the other half in 1,000 to 5,000 employees. And we had a real mix of industries as well. So that's who we surveyed, and the questions were all completed by people with responsibility for IT in December 2018 to January 2019. So what did the survey reveal? Well, it revealed what we're calling 7 truths. And let's look at the first one, which is that it's now the norm to be a cyber attack victim. More than 2/3 of the organizations we surveyed say they were hit by a cyber attack in the last year, by which they mean a cyber attack got through their defenses. The larger organizations say they had more attacks, 73% versus 63% for the smaller ones. And we think there's likely a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, the larger organizations are considered to be more lucrative targets by the cyber criminals, so they have more attacks reaching them. And the second is that those larger organizations are more aware often that they've been hit by a cyber threat because they've got more IT resources to detect and investigate issues. Now, of course, these are just the attacks that have been discovered. The actual number could well be higher. And really the key takeaway here is that everyone should assume that they will be a victim of a cyber attack, and start from this position when you're planning and evaluating your security strategy, rather than assuming that threats won't get through or that you'll be able to evade the attention of the attackers. In terms of the geographic spread, there was some significant regional variations. So Japan reported the fewest attacks. Only 24% of Japanese organizations said they fell victim to a cyber attack in the last year. Conversely, at the other end of the scale, Mexico reported the most, with 82% of respondents admitting they had been hit. One explanation for this difference is that cyber attacks are not equally dispersed or targeted around the globe. And when we look at the data from Sophos Labs on individual threats, we can often see clear geographic targeting at play. So Emotet, the recent threat, the network worm that's been causing huge problems for many organizations. Well, that's particularly targeted the Americas, Northern and Western Europe, Australia, and India. Whereas WannaCry, the ransomware from a couple of years back, well, that created the most havoc in the Ukraine. So there's some geographic differences in where threats are targeted. Just to rub some salt into the wound, those organizations that said they'd been hit by a cyber attack on average suffered 2 attacks, which suggests an ongoing weaknesses in their defenses, that threats are continuing to get through. We asked the respondents where they discovered the attacks, and the majority were discovered on the server or the network. Just under 17% were discovered at the endpoint, and surprisingly high number, nearly 10% on mobile devices. So a few interesting things that we've pulled from this. First, the fact that most threats are discovered on the server, clearly just point one, but servers are generally considered safe by IT administrators. Users don't log into them, whereas as the data shows, they are really at risk. Now, modern attacks often start at the endpoint before moving laterally to servers, the higher value targets. So the fact that organizations are catching the threats on the servers rather than the endpoints suggests a lack of visibility on what's happening earlier in the threat chain, as well as endpoint security gaps. It's also, of course, possible that attacks are noticed on the server more because that's where they can cause the biggest impact to the business. Now, that nearly 10% of threats that are discovered on mobile devices was a real surprise for us at Sophos, I have to say, and really suggesting that the mobile threats are a growing danger, and recommending that all organizations ensure that devices with access to corporate information are properly secured. Now, we saw that 9.6% is the global average. There was one real outlier there, which is India, where nearly 20% of threats were discovered on mobile devices. And we think this is likely a reflection of both technology and cultural factors. Firstly, the Android ecosystem is more fragmented in India than in many other countries, and as a result is less likely to be patched. Also in India, sole reliance on mobile devices for business, as the sole business device, is much higher than in some other parts of the world. So the likelihood of a mobile device falling victim to a malicious attack, and also the user seeing it, is much higher too. Now, we asked organizations how long it took them to discover the most significant cyber attack to hit them in the last year. And the answer really revealed truth number 2, which is that IT teams lack visibility into attacker dwell time. For those who knew, the average time was 13 hours. Now, clearly 13 hours is a huge amount of time for a hacker to have uninterrupted access to your system and data. In this time, a cybercriminal can wreak significant damage, including exfiltrating sensitive data, stealing credentials, installing money-stealing Trojans, ransomware, you name it. So, that's a huge amount of time. And actually delving a little bit more into those 13 hours, we saw some interesting regional variations as well, in terms of the countries that are quickest off the mark. Australia, Brazil, Canada taking 10 hours. At the under end of the scale, 17 hours on average for Japanese teams to discover the threats. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because 17% didn't know how long the threat had been in their environment before it was discovered. So, that's approaching 1 in 5. That's really a huge amount of time. Now, those 13 hours cited by the 1,744 survey respondents who knew how long the threat had been in their environment might at first sight seem incongruous with some other research, such as the Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report, which says that 68% of data breaches take months or longer to discover. Personally, I think this difference is hugely illuminating and provides some deeper insights into the realities facing ordinary organizations that don't have very extensive and dedicated threat detection and response teams. So first up, organizations lack the tools they need to accurately assess dwell time. For the vast majority of small and mid-sized organizations, being able to fully understand how long a threat was in their organization requires time, tools, and expertise that they don't have. They also think they only see part of the story. You know, we saw earlier, most threats are discovered on the server, suggesting a lack of visibility at the endpoint. So as a result, it's likely that organizations are only seeing an excerpt of the threat trail rather than the complete situation, resulting in underestimating the time the threat was in their environment. Now, different types of threats are easier to spot than others. And threats vary greatly in their distribution method, techniques used, end goals, you name it. And those, for example, the generic, what we call the spray and pray techniques, which succeed due in part to their volume. You know, if I send out enough attacks, one of them will get through. They're generally less well disguised and sophisticated, highly targeted attacks. So actually, many of those mass market spray and pray type threats are spotted and stopped within seconds. And that brings us to another key point, and the difference here is that the data that the threats that the two reports were looking at were different. The Verizon report focused solely on data breaches, whereas those Sophos participants were responding based on a much broader range of cyber attacks. Often those impactful, damaging threats that the Verizon team were looking at are the most sophisticated with the longest dwell time. So with cyber criminals now masters of disguise with their threats, IT managers are acutely aware that they need help being able to identify those tricky advanced attacks that cause the greatest damage. And we asked the survey respondents, what was the most important feature for them in an endpoint detection and response solution? And they said that ability to identify suspicious events, really helping them reduce that time that threats are on their system. So moving on now to truth number 3, which is that IT teams can't plug their security gaps because they just don't know what they are. A key element of an effective security strategy is to stop threats from getting into the organization in the first place. Yet 1 in 5 IT managers are unaware how the most significant cyber threat entered their organization. As a result, they're unable to protect those entry points. That is a really significant factor. If you don't know where your weaknesses are, you can't fix them. We saw some quite interesting variations there between the different size of organizations. It was 1 in 4 IT managers in the smaller organizations don't know how the most recent threat got in, compared with 16% in the larger organizations. We think this is likely due to both having those larger organizations having more skilled resources and more comprehensive cybersecurity solutions than the smaller companies. Often smaller companies just don't have the resource or expertise to investigate what happened during an attack. They're just focused on cleaning it up and then moving on to the next fire that they need to fight. But of course, cyber criminals target organizations of every size. So the inability of smaller companies to identify the security holes means they're even more vulnerable. Looking now at truth 4, which is that really shocking stats, really, that organizations are losing 41 days a year investigating non-issues. So we asked organizations how long they spend investigating potential security incidents each month, and the response was 4 days. So obviously 48 days across the year. But only 15% of those potential incidents turn out to be actual infections, which means that 85% of the time, it's around 41 days a year, is spent investigating non-incidents. So that's a huge amount of time, of resource that is used in not ineffective ways. That is a real element of underusing the skills and a huge opportunity cost for what else those IT teams could be doing at that time instead of investigating non-incidents. And again, it helps I explain why the #1 desired EDR feature that we just saw on the previous slide is the identification of suspicious events. Because by having effective tools in place to help identify what is suspicious, they can focus their limited resources in the right place rather than searching for needles in a haystack. So if you've got resources to help identify suspicious events better, you can improve your efficiency, you can reduce your exposure because you can get to the actual threats faster, and you can minimize risk. Focus your resources on the most dodgy, to use a British word, dubious suspicious events. Another truth that came out of the survey is that 4 out of 5 organizations are struggling with threat detection and response due to lack of security expertise. There's a marked difference that we will look at is also between smaller and larger organizations. So 80% of our respondents say they wish they had a stronger security team in place. But it's really hard for them to address it because 79%, virtually the same numbers, say that recruiting in cybersecurity skills is a huge challenge. Of those organizations that have been hit by a cyber attack, 85% wish they had a stronger team in place, compared with 71% in the organizations that hadn't been hit. This suggests that those organizations that suffered, have been victim of a cyber attack, are more aware of their own lack of security expertise. They've learned, unfortunately, the hard way that threats can get through their defenses, and also of the challenges and the needs for specialist skills in addressing them. This was a global issue, this desire for a stronger team and challenges with recruitment. It was the biggest issue in India and Mexico, where 89% and 86% respectively say that it's a challenge. Germany, as you can see, has the least issue. only 66% of respondents say they have an issue with cybersecurity recruitment, but that's still 2 out of 3 in the country that has the least issue. So this cybersecurity skill shortage is very widespread. Now, moving on to the 6th truth, more than half of the organizations we surveyed don't see the value of their EDR solutions. Now, EDR has quickly become the must-have technology. More than 9 out of 10 of the IT managers we surveyed either have EDR or plan to have EDR in their security arsenals. And of those respondents who don't currently have EDR, 9 in 10 plan to add it to their defenses, and 61% plan to do so in the next 6 months. So huge desire, huge plans for EDR. And the desire for EDR is pretty much equal for both the smaller and larger organizations. Endpoint detection and response is clearly no longer the exclusive preserve of those largest organizations, but it's a tool for all. And this makes a huge amount of sense when we think back to those earlier revelations about the time spent investigating security incidents and the lack of visibility into the threat chain. When we look across the countries surveyed, Japan really stands out, kind of stands alone in terms of EDR adoption plans. In all the other countries we surveyed, at least 8 in 10 organizations with EDR plan to, 8 in 10 of the organizations without EDR plan to add it. India is topping that list, 99% that don't currently have EDR plan to add it, followed very closely by Australia, the US and Brazil. However, in Japan, just 1 in 3, 34% of organizations plan to add it to their security defenses. So that is a really interesting cultural variation. Now, while EDR is a powerful tool that can elevate your cyber defenses, you need to have the resources in place to use it effectively and get the most from your investment. And unfortunately, over half of the survey respondents who've already invested in EDR are unable to do that. 54% of organizations say that the EDR is something that they've not been able to get full benefits from. In some ways they've wasted their money. And interestingly, although you might think that smaller organizations would struggle more to get the benefits from their EDR investments, the reality is that organization size was not a factor here. The response data was virtually the same from the smaller organizations and the larger organizations. Now, there's a few possible explanations for these results, and it's likely they both come into play across the survey respondents. So first is lack of EDR management resource. Organizations need to consider who will manage their EDR solution to ensure you can take advantage of it. As we've already seen, cybersecurity skills, or rather the lack of, is a huge issue. And the second is usability and skills mismatch. Technology can only add value if you can actually use it effectively. So if you're looking at EDR, really give due consideration to how easy the solution is to use, how it fits with your available skills and resources. And then if we move on to the seventh and final truth, which is once bitten, twice shy. So the survey revealed very distinct differences in some areas between those who had been the victim of a cyber attack and those who had avoided the hackers. So those organizations that were hit by a cyber attack in the last year are more cautious. They investigate twice as many incidents as other organizations. And they also spend more time on cybersecurity. They spend 4 days a month investigating potential incidents rather than 3 for the organizations that didn't fall victim. Now, there's likely a couple of factors here. Firstly, they've dialed up their security following the incident, so they've got a much greater appreciation of the impact of cyber attacks, and organizations that have been hit are willing to dedicate more time, effort, and resources to stopping them. They also have more limited visibility into their environment. So poor cyber defenses mean more threats are getting through, and they've got less ability to look into them. So they've got more incidents to investigate with less tools to do it. So it takes more time. And then thirdly, another possible option is that they're more aware of what to look for. They know what the signs are because they've suffered a suspicious attack. And so they've got more areas that they want to investigate. But yeah, really learning the hard way as the result of a cyber attack. Now, as the survey has revealed, there's a number of challenges that organizations face when it comes to endpoint security and protecting against cyber threats, as well as challenges with EDR technology. The good news is that Intercept X Advanced with EDR from Sophos can address many of these challenges. Starting with understanding the cyber attacks. As we saw, 2 in 3 organizations suffered a cyber attack last year, but 17% of the IT managers we surveyed don't know how long the threat was in their environment, and 20% don't know how it got in. They don't know where the doorway was. Well, Intercept X Advanced with EDR can provide the answers to these questions, enabling organizations to identify the root cause of the attack, how long it's been in the system, and the potential impact. And when you're armed with this information, you can put in place the defenses you need to plug your security gaps. We also saw that organizations take on average 13 hours to discover a threat. Intercept X Advanced with EDR proactively identifies suspicious events, enabling IT teams to detect attacks that may have gone unnoticed for much longer. So it enables you to take effective steps to reduce the likelihood of becoming another cyber attack victim. We also saw that organizations are spending 48 days a year investigating potential security incidents. Well, Intercept X Advanced with EDR can slash this time by offering expert analysis and guided incident response into potential incidents that teams of all sophistication levels can understand and act upon, which has the benefit of dramatically reducing the time spent detecting and responding to incidents. And finally, we saw that 80% of organizations want a stronger security team, but 79% are struggling with recruiting in the skills that they need. Well, Intercept X Advanced with EDR enables you to add expertise without adding headcount. It's simple enough so that if you are an IT manager with limited time jumping from task to task, you can easily use it to full advantage, but at the same time, it provides the deep insights that security operations centers need as well. So if I am to sum up what we have learned from this survey, well, the first point is that when you're planning your cybersecurity strategy, start from the assumption that a threat will make its way through your defenses. Be mindful of the limitations to your visibility into threats and resulting inability to identify and block the gaps in your security armor. Secondly, the vast majority of organizations that we surveyed see EDR as an integral part of their security strategies. It's no surprise, EDR can be an effective tool to address a number of the challenges highlighted in the survey. And at a time when cybersecurity skills are in such short supply, an intelligent EDR solution can provide the threat insight and expertise needed to stay ahead of the threats. However, as the survey revealed, simply purchasing EDR is not enough. Far too many organizations are discovering that their investment in EDR has turned out to be money wasted because they're not able to take full advantage of their EDR solution. So to avoid falling into this trap, make sure you fully consider the capabilities and usability of an EDR solution before you add it to your security arsenal. So I just want to finish off by reminding you, Sophos Intercept X Advanced with EDR lets you understand the scope and impact of a security incident, detect attacks that may have gone unnoticed, and analyze files to find out if they are a threat. To learn more and start a no obligation 30-day free trial, simply visit sophos.com/interceptx and you can be up and running in minutes. So thank you all very much for your time, for your attention. I hope you have found it useful. I hope you have enjoyed discovering the results of this survey. And I hope you find it useful in planning your future security strategies. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
If you need to contact us for further information, you can reach us on the website that's going to be in the description. You can also contact us on our live chat service. You can contact us on the YouTube comments. We'd be more than happy to assist you. You can reach us at acs@cyberservices.com. And the contact numbers are +44 for international dial, and that would be 1704 893 447. You could also reach me on my mobile at 07494 027783. If you need to contact us on any further information about that, webinars or demos, please let us know, and I and one of the team would be very happy to assist you. Thank you. But please note that when you are coming to us with regard to an educational request, please also send in some form of identification, or if you're a member of staff, say the IT administrator, please send in a letter from the head teacher with a manual signature so that we can apply an educational discount. But please be aware that you may have to buy so many licenses in order to get a discount. Thank you and bye bye.